So, like, the guys that we talk to in defensive training keep talking about how things are faster, things are faster, that they feel like they're much better and pre-snap, and because of that, they're breaking the snap better, therefore they're faster. Is that what you see?
Yeah, I see a comfort level. When you're now in year two, obviously everybody would expect everything to be better, right? Everything should be more comfortable for the players. So I think it's like anything, right? The more you get accustomed to the calls and the adjustments and things of that nature, then naturally, our expectation is to play faster. And I feel like so far in camp, when you stack the reps of spring and camp together, I think we are playing faster. And our kind of mantra every day is stressing violence and speed, right? Violence and speed. That's what good defense is. And I think I'm seeing more of that than I've seen in the past.
And the speed and being faster off the snap, that lends itself to more violence because of the way the collisions are.
Yes, because, there's not as much thinking, right? So anytime there's sort of, the old saying, analysis paralysis, right? You're trying to figure everything out, and you kind of get paralyzed, particularly before the ball snaps. So we're trying to eliminate that type of thinking. But obviously that comes through a lot of reps, and they're starting to accumulate the reps.
Are you sensing the guys are, Tamari Morales, obviously he's on offense, but he was saying he's pissed for the defense about how much slack they get for last season. Are you sensing that kind of just ready to prove people wrong kind of attitude?
I sense a sense of urgency. We don't talk a lot about last year. Obviously this is a new year and a new day. So our job and our focus every day is to get better, and our guys have really set out to do that.
Gene, what could you point to as some areas that you have seen maybe from the end of last season to now, or the end of spring to now, that have improved? Like what areas or guys, or what jumps out to you as maybe some areas that are the most improved?
I think probably to start out you would say communication. I think there's a lot better communication all the way around from the back to the front, and that's really, really important. I think that removing the gray on a lot of things that maybe weren't as clear as they needed to be, to be able to play faster and play more violent. I think those things are happening. And then just the technique of everybody. There's a great, I want to say a better expectation now of the standard we're asking for every position, right? What are we asking you to do at your position? And we're expecting you to execute it at a high level. So I think it's a better understanding more of what we want on the details of everything as well.
When you say moving the gray area?
Yeah, just if there was any gray, if there was anything that they didn't necessarily understand. Our job as coaches is to remove any gray. And I think we've done a really good job of removing any gray where, I'm not quite sure, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? And that's what our job is as coaches, right? So I think we've done a good job of that as well.
Can you talk about Cedric Gray's leadership and just what he's shown over the offseason?
Yeah, Ced is, he's an alpha. He's a guy that everybody looks at, and they look at him not just because of his production, but his production is a result of the way he works. His production is a result of what he has put into this. Not just how he works in the weight room, how he works in conditioning, how he works at practice, but how he works off the field, how he studies the game. All the things that you have to do to be a really productive player, he does that. So people see that, and hopefully more and more try to emulate that same thing.
We know what to expect from guys like Ced and Power, but what have you seen from Sebastian Cheeks and Amari Campbell this camp as far as building that linebacker depth that Mac really wants to?
Yeah, that's a huge priority for us. I think Amari Campbell's, I think he's really going to be a good player. He's stacking up great reps from the spring on top of camp reps, and the more he takes reps, the faster he plays. He is a very physical player, really, really smart. I mean, for a true freshman to come in here and really understand everything that fast is really impressive. Sebastian we're still work in progress, right? He's come a long way in terms of the football IQ part and the mental part of the game from last year. So now he's got to put that together and make it more of a physical game. And he's a big physical guy, so he needs to play with a physical presence. That will continue to come with his knowledge of the game, which is happening. and we're taking bites out of the elephant every day on that.
You talked about removing the gray for the players. Was there any of that for you at all after stepping away from the game for a while, coming back into it, and just kind of now having a year back under your belt?
I'm not going to say removing the gray, but I think me being out of it for the period of time that I was out of it. Of course, you fall back into the saddle, and you've been doing it so many years. But the game had changed. I had to adapt and adjust with some things. After being out of it 5 years. So I'm in a better spot, studying a lot of film in the off-season. So I think everybody, coaches, not just me, but all of our coaches, all of us, did a great job in the off-season of really studying and getting even more on the same page than we were last year, looking at what was good and bad, and growing as coaches, right? Everybody grows as coaches. I don't care how long you do this. You have to continue to grow as a coach, and that's my goal every day, to work to grow.
What are some of those adapt and change things that you found?
Well, you go back and you look and you say, this is what we ran. How can we tweak this and make this better? How can we make this pressure better? How can we make this front better? What can we do as coaches right now to coach different things? Maybe that it was clear, maybe the points weren't as clear as they were last year. So just growing as coaches, all of us.
Were you able to implement any of that late last season? Some of the maybe easier things to adjust to during the course of the year that made it easier to continue that process?
Yeah. We adapted, adjusted as the season went on, for sure. We saw. You got to see what your kids are good at and what they're not good at in game time situations, right? As the season went on, we started to see what we were good at, what we were not as good at. Tried to implement more of the calls that we felt like we were better at executing, and that's why I think at the end of the year we were playing football much better than we were at the beginning. So it was a mixture of all of that.
Is that why you were able to increase some of the blitzing in the second half of the season because of that?
Yeah, that was part of it. We realized that we need to be more aggressive. And again, everything starts with how good are we in coverage? What can we do in coverage, right? And then you work your way back down, right? How are we in coverage? How are we at the linebackers and the linebacker fits part? How are we at the pass rush? And you work from the back to the front, and then you adapt and adjust how you can call games and what you can go into game plans with that idea in mind.
You lose a guy like Elijah. What does he bring to his defense at the corner position?
Yeah, Elijah Huzzy's been really exciting to watch. He's still learning. He's still growing. But he's got really good football instincts, and we've seen that since he's gotten here. So we're able to move him around to different positions now. When he came here, he was just a corner. Now he could be a field corner. He could be a boundary corner. He could be a star or a nickel in y'all's vernacular. But he's learning the game more, but he's a very talented kid.
Obviously, last year, there was no way to predict what Drake May was going to do and give you guys all those points. But now that you've seen him for a full year, does that change the way you prep as a defense? Does that give you any more cushion room knowing now you have all those points to play with this year?
No, it doesn't. We don't take that into account. We're trying to do defensively what we feel like we're able to execute at a high level. So it'd be great if we could continue to score all those points. But that's not how we're building the defense based on that.
We were talking to Elijah the other day. He was joking about how all his games used to be on ESPN Plus. Now he's going to play in Charlotte in front of College Game Day. How do you prep a kid like that for just playing on such a big stage?
I think it would be so fun for him. He's worked so hard to be in a venue like this, right? You don't prep him. Guys like that just go out and they play football. He's a football player. It'll be exciting for him. I'm sure that he'll probably have to calm it down and pump the brakes a little bit, but not really a lot. Guys like that usually are very focused at their craft. That's what we expect him to be on game day. But it will be exciting for him for sure.
With this being your second time back or second year back, how has your approach maybe been different now that you have a better understanding of your personnel? You maybe feel like you as a coach and even the other coaches on your staff are maybe a little bit more ahead of schedule than you were when it was last year in your first year back? Yes.
We're definitely, all as a group, we're definitely ahead of schedule. We're definitely, it's like anything, right? You get harmony and you get aligned better and better and better as the years go on and the more you're around each other, right? So that's definitely happened. I think our coaches have a very, very they're very comfortable right now with what we're doing and everybody being on the same page, and that happens over time for sure. So we haven't changed anything, but I think that the reps have built up, and we've been together now for going on year 2, that everybody's just more in a more comfortable posture.
Did you learn about anything about yourself and maybe your coaching style and how you have to adapt after being gone for so long and having that first year back here?
No, I won't say I learned anything about myself. I haven't changed in 33 years, but you have to be able to adapt and adjust to your personnel and your people, know what they can do physically, know what they can do mentally. So in that regard, yes.
So, I wanted to ask you about the secondary as a whole. You talked about Huzzy a second ago, but there's several new faces / returning players that you need to kind of take on bigger roles this season. What makes this year's secondary unit unique to last season?
I think it's a unique mixture. You've got some older guys that have really played a lot of football, and then you've got some younger guys that we're counting on coming in and playing, right? You look at the Marcus Allens of the world that at the end of the season last year, they played a lot of reps, right? Didn't play a lot at the beginning. You got a guy like Tayon Holloway, who, I think is a very talented young man. It's a young guy that's going to play snaps for us. So you've got kind of that mixture, and then you got the Gios and the Don Chapmans and the guys that have played a lot. So I think it's a really, really good mixture of young guys. And you need the older guys, particularly at the safety position, to kind of control everything. And so it's really a good mixture for us.
For sure. And those younger corners you mentioned, Marcus Allen, Tayon Holloway, what is something that, is kind of going to keep them on the field, regardless of, the personnel you guys have, just, they're as young as they are, what are going to be the things that keep them on the field this year?
Well, number one, I think they have a level of physicality to them. I think they play a physical brand of game, which you like at that position. Both of them are longer guys, taller, longer guys, right? You always want that for a corner. And then for Marcus, going into year 2, having a better understanding of everything. And then Tayon's just a talented young guy. He makes plays out there a lot in practice. We've got to see it in the game, obviously, but we're counting on him to bring us valuable snaps.
You talked about
we had heard from, a couple of us had heard from Mac that he was picking on you a little bit over the off season, saying that you guys weren't that great on defense. It sounded like he was enjoying throwing some jabs at you. Like, did he try to do that to you just to mess with you a little bit? And how did you receive the picking that he was giving you?
Does that every day, everybody. No, we have great discussions. We have a lot of fun with it. And there's no secret, right? We have to be better on defense. We have to play better on defense. We will play better on defense. I got out of TV to come here and help Mac win a championship. That's why I'm here. And of course, I love being around the players. I love the kids. But I came here to do a job for Mac Brown. And, whether he's joking or not joking, it's pretty clear we need to play better. So that's my job.
He also said you had a chip on your shoulder. Chip on your shoulder.
I always have a chip on my shoulder. I always have a chip on my shoulder. So I've always coached that way. I've always coached that way. But obviously, any competitor right now, when you're not happy with the result, you have an edge, right? And we all have an edge, but you have an edge. The players should have an edge. All the coaches should have an edge. Mac should have an edge. I should have an edge. We all should, right? Because we're all responsible for production and results. And it's a big man's game. You got to have big shoulders, right? When you play bad and you stink, it is what it is. You got to fix it. So there was times last year when we played bad and we stunk, and there was times last year when we played good. Just didn't do it consistently. So our job is to produce consistently and put a better product on the field.
The experience, there are 2 areas of focus you said was important. Short area quickness and gap blocking. Have you seen the kind of progress you want to see in that position?
I have. This game is about short area quickness. So, obviously from tackle box to tackle box, from one end to the other, you better have that short area quickness, that blocking, physicality, and strikeability. Those guys, we're starting to see that better. That helps with the linebacker run fits. Obviously, the gaps being held, so the backers and the safeties and everybody knows where to fit off of those guys. So all of that's happening at a better clip than it was last year. We're not perfect, but I expect it to be much better than it was last year. So this is what I love about this group. The things we're asking them to do, there is an extreme intent every day to do it by the players. They are into it. They want to do it. They want to put a better product on the field. So everybody's on the same page.
How do you try to be more aggressive? Because that's obviously something you want to be.
Yes.
I mean, how are you trying to implement that? And does that affect who you might play on the defensive line? How deep do you think you can go at that position?
Well, with the defensive line, you're always working toward to try to be at least 2 deep, right? Especially early in the season. I mean, we need 8 bodies up there. I'm counting the D-line and the jacks, right? We need 8 bodies up there that we can rotate on a consistent basis. That's number one. Number two, implementing some more defenses that give you a chance to create negative yardage. That's been a huge focus since the beginning, since the spring. And we're going to continue to work that. Again, everything depends on what can you do in the secondary. Right? So what does it look like in the secondary? You can be aggressive. You can blitz 7 every time. You've got 4 All-American corners and safeties.
Right.
You can cover everybody. That'd be great. I don't know if anybody. Yeah, it sounds great. But you can't do that, right? So everything's got to go based on, being sound. It's still about Jimmys and Joes, right? Can my guy cover their dude? When we blitz and they throw it up, can my guy cover their dude? So all of those things matter. But we're taking that all into consideration, and we know that we have to be more aggressive on defense.
What does the return of Des Evans do for you, and kind of what production have you seen from him over the past week or so?
Yeah, I'm really proud of Des. He had the season-ending injury. He's really, really paid attention to his craft in the offseason, to being better at all the little things, and it's showing up on the field right now. I think he's had a good camp so far. He's really done a good job with pass rush, probably the best that I've seen since I've been here with pass rush. And he needs to be not a good pass rusher. He needs to be a great one. So that is our expectation of him, but he's making progress day by day. And he's one of those guys that's very intentional, right? Like he knows what he was not good at, and he is very intentional in trying to fix it. So I'm really proud of him.
Is his level of physicality where it needs to be?
Nobody's is. Everybody can get better. He is one of those guys that is working for low pads. He's working to become more physical at it. No, he's not to the point where he needs to be yet, but he's working in that direction, and it's been better now since I've seen him, since I've been here. But him, like everybody else, still needs to play with a lower pad level and more strike ability.
How has the game changed? You're saying that it had changed a little bit since you've been out.
Yes, it did.
How has it changed, and were there any moments where you said, I wasn't expecting that to be different?
Game 1. The game has changed. There's so many RPOs built into the games now, right? Into the offenses now. You have a lot of formation into the sideline stuff now. Obviously, you have tempo that has been around for a while. But now you're starting to kind of get all of that mixed together. So the game has changed, and I had to definitely adapt and adjust to it for sure. But again, I think all of our coaches had to adapt and adjust to that. Me being the leader, and us all getting on the same page with a lot of those problematic things that offenses create for defenses.
Last season, when you were working through just the different changes to the game, who are some people that you went to ask for advice to lean on in that time?
Are you talking about in the off season or during the season?
Just last season, you said game 1, you're like, oh shoot, you're seeing things that are different. Who are you talking to?
Well, really just among the staff, right?
Yeah.
During the season, you had time to call around and say, hey, what are you guys doing? Like that's a whole different animal. But just really looking with our own staff at when we were not productive, why? What things we need to stay away from, what things we need to do more of. And again, from really conference game 1 to the end of the year, there was some improvement. But the first 4 games, 2 of the first 4 games, as we all know, were not what we wanted production-wise, right? So it was just a matter of us getting together as coaches and then moving forward from there.
Ken, kind of going off of that, what is that process like of adapting to, some of those differences while also coming up with game plans, every week, especially when conference play starts? What is that kind of process of, teaching the players on your team while also, adjusting to some of those differences?
Yeah. So it's a process for sure, because you're trying to game plan, but then you're also trying to, adapt and adjust all the things that we weren't good at, right? So a lot of late nights, but again, getting the coaches and the players all on the same page, staying there, figuring out again, this formation, this is what they're doing, this is what they see, and that's all right. How can we give them a different look so that they can't get this play run to their advantage, right? So what are we doing to change that? So it was a lot of those discussions that happened, ongoing during the season last year.
Yeah, we got time for 2 more.
Just a housekeeping real quick, Gene. It seems like you haven't had Boykins for a couple days and Stick Lane. Like, who are you working in there at star when you don't have DeAndre, who obviously played a ton of snaps at that position?
Yeah.
Who are you working in there at star? And is it disappointment with Stick Lane since you hadn't seen him and you guys got high hopes for what he could do? Like, is it kind of like, dang, you'd like to really get him out here? And get him?
We got to get him back up and running, obviously. He was making some really, really good progress. But right now we have DJ Jones playing some nickel, or star is what we call it. We've got Elijah Huzzy working in there, running that position. And then Caleb Cost has really done a great job. True freshman that we got from Sandy Creek, but he's really, really done a good job. So we're trying to continue to build depth at that position because it's a huge position, in the defense.
Converted running back DJ Jones.
Yeah, so we're working DJ at star, and he's done some good things, and he's putting in some good time, and he's had some good reps.
Does he have just basic football instincts that's kind of helped him in that transition, or how much has he worked on just the little nuances of being on that side of the ball?
DJ was a safety in the spring, right? And so then we decided in the summer right now that we need to really start teaching him some star reps. So all of this is new, and that's why I'm saying I'm proud of him, because completely new, completely different, and he's just embraced whatever we're asking him to do to embrace that role. And he's done a good job with learning it and spending extra time to learn it. I'm really proud of him for that.
All right.
Good?
Who do you expect a big jump from? Some guys. A couple names.
Damon Rucker.
Okay.
Expect a big jump from him. Expect a big jump from Miles Murphy. Des Evans. I think we're going to get some jumps that you can visually see, for sure.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks.